Whenever Richie Beirach and I wrote a book, we had a process. We would record a conversation over Zoom or phone. I would transcribe the audio. I'd send back the text to Richie. Then we'd get back together and read and edit and polish. Here's a snippet of a conversation Richie and I had when we were writing our book, Great Art and Commercial Success. And in this conversation, Richie was expressing his opinion on a quote by the great Count Basie about artistic innovation. Now, since I only recorded the audio on this, I laid a visual over Richie's voice just to make it a little more interesting. After that, I asked my AI, Jazzmaster Chat, which uses these interviews and books as its brain, I asked it for thoughts from others that I had interviewed on how to maintain one's artistic integrity. So here's a bit of that conversation, that initial conversation with Richie. We're on.
Okay. So this is a continuation of the talk on the 3 commercial hits of great artistic success, which were Kind of Blue, Love Supreme, and the Cologne concert. I'd like to start this part by you reading Basie's quote. Can you please do that?
Sure. The real innovators did their innovating by just being themselves.
Okay, now this is Count Basie, who, by the way, I love. I met him once in a hotel in Chicago. He was so kind. He knew me because I was playing with Stan Getz, and he said, anybody that's playing with Stan is a friend of mine. Great guy, and a just wonderful, wonderful guy. And what he says, of course, is true, that the innovators are just being themselves. But let's dissect that a little bit. It's a big just, okay? Because in a world of jazz, especially the one that I was in, and many worlds, when you're young, many people, the whole world is trying to get you to sound like someone else so they can market you. Because there's a natural war between marketing and artistic success and vision. And marketing and the artists are both absolutely necessary. We don't do anything without marketing. Nobody knows about it, okay? So I'm coming on the scene in ECM 1972, 73 with Dave Liebman and John Abercrombie, Jack DeJohnette and Dave Holland, and those are the guys. Those are my peers, right? Age group. And nobody knew us, but Dave was with Miles. And Manfred saw Dave and liked Dave. And ECM, one of the great things about ECM, besides the sound that they do, is that they don't care about this marketing shit. Manfred goes for the artist. He doesn't care if he's unknown, known, doesn't matter. He wants the best from the artist, or he did anyway. So Dave got a record date, and there was no problem. I was on the record as a sideman on Lookout Farm and Drum Ode, and then I was asked to do my own LP, which was Eon, and then Hubris, solo piano, and then Elm. Then I was made. But here's the thing. Along the way, a lot of American booking agents and record company people would call me and say, hey, Richie, we need a young guy to play like Horace Silver or Monk. He says, are you interested? We can pay you. And I would say, listen, man, thank you for the call. I'm honored. But I do have my own music. He says, yeah, we know you have your own music, but you want to make some money? So I would say, no, not if I have to sell my ass. I'm sorry. Or they would call and say, listen, we've got a thing. We know you're an acoustic piano player. We know you're an artiste. He says, but how about an all-electric record with congas and, a horn section, playing your music, but arranged for blah, blah. And I would say, no, I can't do that unless I have complete control. Complete control? Who do you think you are, Barbra Streisand? So the point is, along the way, it's tough to maintain your identity. People want you to fit into things because they want to be able to sell you as something already known. Monk's a perfect example. Monk was amazingly himself, totally himself, like sometimes in a very, very negative reactions because people didn't like it. But he persisted because he was a persistent motherfucker and very brilliant. And eventually he got known and then he became like an icon. And I'm sure people would say, okay, get me a young Monk. You know what I'm saying? To sell. Nothing sells anymore, so it's not even an issue very much, okay, because of the internet. Thank you. So what I'm saying is Count Basie is a wonderful guy, but his statement is kind of incomplete and very naive. In other words, it takes a lot of energy and protective power to maintain your originality, to be yourself.
And here's what I asked my AI, Jazzmaster Chat. Richie Beirach talked about the difficulty in being true artistically to oneself in the face of others wanting you to be more like someone else in order to become more commercially popular. This was brought up in the book Great Art and Commercial Success. Provide examples of advice given from other interviews that a musician should follow in order to maintain their artistic self and integrity. And before I share what Jazzmaster Chat returned, I just want to say that this AI is not some supercomputer thinking on its own. It's simply a lightning fast index that can find information within the million words of these interviews and books and then give it back in a kind of a conversational way. So anything it responds to, it comes from real humans that I interviewed or wrote books with. And I just say this for the AI skeptics out there. This is all coming from the people I interviewed. Anyway, here's what the AI came back with. Dave Liebman. 1. Dave Liebman emphasizes the importance of developing a unique personal sound and expression. He points out that while you can learn about other techniques and styles of other musicians, the journey to find your own sound and musical voice is a solitary one. 2. Liebman criticizes how music education often teaches uniformity, making many musicians sound the same. He suggests that true artistry comes from embracing individuality and ensuring that education supports personalized learning and development. 3. According to Liebman, becoming a true artist requires intense and focused listening. This kind of listening involves understanding the essence of the music being played, the unique sound of each instrument, and how musicians express their view of the world through their music. Sheila Jordan. 1. Sheila Jordan emphasizes the importance of not changing your style just to fit others' expectations. She refused to alter her singing style despite external pressures and remained true to her musical identity. 2. Jordan advises young singers to learn tunes exactly as they are written. This foundational knowledge allows for more effective and authentic improvisation later on. 3. Jordan talks about dedicating one's career to the music that moves you, regardless of whether it will support you financially. She committed herself to jazz, inspired by Charlie Parker, and focused on keeping the jazz tradition alive for future generations.
Blossom was original, and she didn't sound like anybody, and she didn't try to sound like anybody, you know? She was like Annie Ross. Annie Ross was original. She never sounded like anybody.
Or you?
Oh, well, I don't want to sound like, why would I want to sing like somebody else? I mean, that's stealing their life. I don't want to steal their life and what they've been living. I have my own life to sing about.